The quality of your life is directly related to the quality of your communication. In this hashtag winning episode, I want to talk about the one thing that has made me more money than anything else. What's up, guys? Uriel Kim here, CEO and founder of Healthpreneur. And in case you didn't get the memo, what I just said is the secret that I'm going to be unveiling for you today. The one thing that's allowed me to make as much money as I have and impact as many people as I have is one skill and one skill only, and that's communication. It's the single most important skill we help our clients develop. Now, before you just disappear, you got to hear me out here. Because if you say, oh, I'm already a good communicator, cool, awesome. You're good, but are you great? And if you're great, are you masterful? And if you're masterful, are you the best in the world? And if you're the best in the world, are you the best in the universe? And if you're the best in the universe, are you the best of all time? I can't overemphasize how important this idea of being a great communicator is. If you look at anyone, good or bad, right? When I talk about anyone good or bad, I'm talking about like Martin Luther King versus Hitler, okay? What did they do masterfully well? Their ability to communicate and persuade people with their words is what they're magical at, what their special sauce was. If you watch any videos of Hitler, now I'm not saying Hitler was a good person. He was an exceptional communicator, though. I remember watching a talk that he had given from stage during World War II or whatever, huge audience of tens of thousands of people, maybe even more. And he gets up on stage and he just stands there saying nothing for 2 minutes, like stands there and just commanding presence and respect, saying nothing. This guy was like next level. And I'm not saying Hitler was a good person. He's a fucking crazy. However, his ability to persuade and communicate, can you just imagine the ability to communicate and persuade an entire nation of people to believe that they can take over the world? Is there any other skill that's more valuable? The answer is, I don't think so. And so what I want to share with you in this video are the 3 forms of communication that I think are really important to master, and then how to do that. Okay, and I'll give you specific examples of how they've paid off in my life. So again, the ability to communicate and communicate exceptionally well is going to make a massive difference in the quality of your life, because the quality of your life is a direct proportion to the amount of money you make, to how you see yourself show up in the world. For instance, what I mean by that is, let's say you're having a conversation with 10 people or 100 people. Let me backtrack. When I was struggling back in 2005, 2006, I decided to be part of a network marketing company. And one of the things that they had was these magnetic mattresses, which were pretty awesome in terms of grounding and so forth. So what I did was I went door to door in my neighborhood and I tried to sell mattresses door to door. And here's what it looked like. Ding dong, a little bit of a door open. Hi there, how's it going? Door slammed in my face. Ding dong. Hey there, would you like a mattress that helps you that? And it was like day after day, house after house. No, get out of my door. Like, get out of here. How do you think that impacts one's quality of life? You feel pretty shitty. Now, let's say that I was a friggin' ninja when it came to communication, and I'm ringing doors and knocking on doors, and instead of getting no's every single time, I was actually having a receptive conversation. And more of those people were saying, you know what? Yeah, come on in, tell me more about this. Let's do this. Do you think the quality of my life might be a bit better? Yeah, it's not even about the money. It's about the confidence that comes from being able to communicate properly. So if you don't know how to communicate properly, you will run into so much resistance in life. And how that's going to show up is you're going to ask for kids to do stuff. They don't do anything. You're going to start, yelling at them, using force, whatever it is, because there's a difference between force and power. Power comes from being great at persuading people through communication, as an example. Force is what we resort to when we're not powerful. And so physical force, like pushing someone, hitting someone, like we resort to that because we lack power, because we are ineffective communicators. That's just one example of how this shows up, like with kids, for instance, right? If you're a parent. So the ability to deal with less resistance and get your message adopted and accepted by more people will just allow you to move through life with a lot more ease, and you'll make a lot more money and help a lot more people in the process. That's why I think communication is the number one skill on the planet, right? Like we're looking to, if there's one muscle, right? If there's one muscle you can build, not just your mindset, It's super important. Your mouth. And yeah, I was just saying like God gave us 2 ears and 1 mouth. We should listen twice as much as we speak. I agree with that. However, if you only listen and you never say anything, you're just going to be another one of those people in the stands, right? Who didn't have the courage to speak their truth and share their wisdom, and you'll just be a speck of dust in this lifetime, which is not cool, right? So there are 3 types of communication that we want to master. One is internal communication, which is the communication between you and you. It's the most important form of communication. It's 80% of the equation. If your internal communication is fucked up, you will not even have the courage to externally communicate to the world. So it's the number one thing. That's why I created this whole friggin' channel. This whole series of #winning is to help you unfuck yourself and communicate properly with yourself to understand that you are capable of anything. But a lot of people don't believe they are, and that holds them back from so much greatness in life. So internal communication is number 1. Verbal communication is number 2. There's 2 types of verbal communication. We have one-to-one and one-to-many. And the 3rd type of communication is written communication. If you don't enjoy writing, welcome to the club. I hate it. Doesn't mean that I'm not going to practice and get better at it, okay? Because I understand the value in this. So I want to share a framework with you to understand this. So number 1, there's a very big difference between learning about something and learning something. I don't want you to learn about something. I want you to learn something. I want you to learn the thing, which means you are practicing mastery in this thing. You're not dabbling. Oh, like I've learned about that before. No. How well am I doing that? How well have I mastered it? That's the difference. So this is a skill, and it's not that you have it or you don't. It's to what degree do you have it? Because you can be a writer. Yeah, I know how to write. Cool. But are you Stephen King? No. Right? Are you J.K. Rowling? No. So there's a big difference in our ability to write and connect with people. Just like there's a big ability and a big difference to be a good orator, a good speaker, whether that's in this format or on stage or one-to-one, whatever it is. So when you are starting, and I mentioned this before, when you are starting anything new for the first time, it's going to require a huge amount of input for a small output. You have to put in a lot more effort up front for a small result on the back end. And that's because you have to go through a lot of practice and trial and error and a lot of inefficiency to get the reps in. So you have to make up in a volume what you lack in effectiveness or skill initially. So it seems like there's a lot of work for a small output. But over time, with practice and repetition, you have a lower input for a greater output. So you're able to be more leveraged. You're leveraging your skill over time because you've practiced it and stacked those skills over time and become closer to masterful as opposed to being a beginner. So as an example, let's say that you're writing, you're looking to write a number of ads to grow your business, right? You want to get clients, etc. Actually, let's not even use ads as an example. Let's use social media posting. It's a good example because most people do it. So you post on social media and you post every single day, okay? So the daily input, every single day. The output is engagement, likes, comments, shares, and there's crickets, nothing. It's like, what the fuck is going on here? And then you start to look at feedback. We take feedback not as failure, but as learning. Okay, what's not resonating? Okay, what hook is working better? What type of story is connecting with people? Cool, let's try more of this. So over time, you keep practicing, you keep writing every single day, connecting with your audience, but you're developing nuances. You understand if I started with this, I capture people's attention. If I finish with this, I'm getting more engagement. And so now, although you're still posting daily, the amount of mental effort that goes into it is a lot less for a greater output. You're able to be a lot more strategic and effective with what you write. And because of that, you're getting more comments, more shares, more likes. And the other thing too, is because you're consistent and showing up every single day, people start to pay attention. This is the other thing you have to recognize is that even though initially you're putting in a lot of effort with little output, most people stop there. And that's why they fail. So if you look at that point, it's like, well, cool, most people stop here. If I just keep going, it's only a matter of time before I win. So use that as like, cool, everyone stop running the race. I'm just gonna keep running because I'll get to the finish line eventually. So you keep practicing, you consistently show up and you keep improving your communication, your ability to connect with people and persuade them and add value and whatever else you're doing. And because you're showing up consistently over and over and over and over and over again, the market eventually rewards you. And because your skill of communication is improving, you're better able to articulate your ideas. The message is more powerful. People are like, man, that makes a lot of sense. And now they see you as the messenger as someone they want to listen to and hear from. And now as a result, when you post, there's more engagement because of the authority bias. The authority bias essentially means people attribute more weight and value to something coming from an authority regardless of the content that's being shared. And that's because you've shown up every single day to develop the skill and add value. So you don't have to have the world's most incredible ideas, although it can definitely help, but you showing up every single day and establishing your authority over time will get people to simply be like, oh my God, that was the most amazing thing I've ever heard. And listen, I'm not going to name any names here, but there are some pretty famous people in the health space who post what I would consider surface level fucking useless garbage. Like, the best thing you can do first thing in the morning is drink water. Wow, thanks so much for that great reminder. And guess how many shares that gets? Thousands. Thousands. Is it the most amazing idea? No, it's a waste of space on my screen. But the reason it gets so many shares is because of who the messenger is, who that authority is. But I promise you, if that person started on day one and shared that message, crickets. Okay? So we got to show up consistently so that over time, the skill gets better, the message gets better, people see you as a messenger, and they're more attracted to you as a character than the content. Okay, that's just an example of how we would play the content game. But you can take that into any other skill with respect to communication. Okay, skill is the ultimate form of leverage because your ability to do something well means you'll have a greater output of that thing. Got it? And I tell my kids this, if it's worth doing every day, and it's worth doing all the way. So whatever, again, when it comes to communication, just every single day, 7 days a week, right? Practice in some way, shape, or form. I'll show you some examples in a second. So let's look at the breakdown of internal, verbal, and written communication. So internal communication, as I mentioned, is I think probably it's by far the most important form of communication. Because if you can't get this thing dialed in, you're not going to be sharing anything with the world. I want you to pay particular attention to the I am statements. I am dumb. I am worthless. I am not good enough. And if you ever find yourself saying that shit, you got to stop it immediately. Like, I'm serious. And if you're not listening to my Mind Floss series, or if you've not read my Mind Floss book, which is somewhere back there, just get it on Amazon. It's a couple bucks, maybe 99 cents. I don't even know. The reason it's so important to floss your mind every day is because of that very conditioning we all have, which is you, myself, and everyone else, we're like empty vessels when we come to this world, and we are programmed with other people's bullshit. The news, parents, neighbors, all the authority figures of when we're young, they're imposing their beliefs of the world on us. And kids are amazing at modeling and terrible at giving meaning. So we give this beautiful, clean slate to others to absolutely shit all over. And then we spend the rest of our life dealing with that stuff and having to overcome it. Okay? That's why this stuff is so important. So where your thoughts come from, a lot of times are not even your thoughts. They are programmings that were literally implanted in your head when you were little. But I don't give a shit. I don't care because your situation is not unique. You're not a special snowflake when it comes to this. Every single one of us has had that. Very few of us grew up with parents that were like, you can do anything. Money grows on trees. You should have everything you want. Like, says not many parents, right? We grow up with a lot of the alternative stuff. So alternative to that, money doesn't grow on trees and, whatever. So the I am statements. I want to encourage you to think about just reaffirming to yourself, or at least first and foremost, auditing your own mental dialogue. When you say I am, even if it's just in your head, what comes after that? Because that tells me everything. If I ever hear someone utter the words, I am stupid, I'm like, dude, I'm good. I know everything I need to know. The very fact that you would even consider uttering that once, for me, is criminal. It's a violation of who you are as a person, as a soul. And it's like, if you say that out loud, I can only imagine how many times you're saying it to yourself. I get people say to me, Yuri, you come across as very confident. Some people say there's an air of arrogance about you. And I agree. I can come across as a little bit arrogant. I'm very self-aware. I understand how I show up in the world. I'm not here to lie to you. I'm also very aware of my shortcomings. Okay. So when it comes to me sharing my stuff and doing my thing, I'm very confident. You put me on a dance floor, like dancing salsa, I'm not as confident, okay? What I want to share with you is that you have to do whatever you got to do to build that self-esteem, to build that internal dialogue. And a lot of it comes from reference points, to be honest. So when I was a teenager playing soccer, and I don't know where this came from, okay? So I don't know where this came from, if it was built or developed or innate. I actually believed that I was the best goalkeeper in the world, not just in my town, not just in my state, not just in my country, in the world. I would watch professional soccer games and I'm like, oh my God, I love this goalie, but I'm better than him. I'm a 16, 17-year-old kid, and I believed I was better than these guys playing in the World Cup. Now, why am I not playing in the World Cup? Because I'm not better than them, right? Or I'm playing for Team Canada, which is never making the World Cup. At least I thought in my lifetime until they did recently. But obviously I haven't played soccer at that level for 20 years, so I'm kind of done. Anyways, I'm sharing this with you because that belief propelled me through a lot of challenge. I had to give up a lot of stuff. I made a lot of sacrifice during those years of wanting to play pro. And I would not have done that if I was like, man, I'm not good enough. I don't know if I can do this. It didn't matter. I was like, I'm the best goalie. I would go to training sessions with other goalies. I remember when I was in Brazil with Sao Paulo, which was an amazing experience. We'd have goalkeeper training sessions with like 10 other goalies. And I'm looking at these guys. I'm like, dude, I'm going to crush you. These guys are like on the verge of going to the pro team. I'm like, I'm better than you, man. And the thing too is I actually believed it. And not just that I believe it, but I actually demonstrated I believe, right? Now, I'm not saying, so here's the distinction, is you can have confidence, but you still have to be grounded in reality to the fact that you can still keep growing. I think arrogance is like this era of, you have so much confidence that you think you've mastered everything that you don't keep growing. I am very confident, but I'm also even more confident that there's so much I don't know that I have to keep growing. Because if I think I have it all figured out, I've lost. Right? That's not the game of life. The game of life is like the more you learn, you don't know anything. And so I would rather err on the side of like, I'm the best at whatever I'm doing, but I never stop growing because that's who I am at my core, as opposed to, I don't know if I'm good enough. Can I really do this? What if this doesn't work? Shut the fuck up. Please shut up with this bullshit internal dialogue that doesn't support you. I don't care about your feelings. I care about your future. And I talked about this in one of our previous videos, is for me, my form of compassion, it shows up a little bit differently. Some people think I'm a bit of an asshole, and that comes across, perhaps. I get that. But that's just because my way of showing compassion to people is not buying into their bullshit. I don't care about your feelings and the stories and the excuses. I don't care because they don't serve you. I care about your future, and I care about challenging you and helping you understand that you're playing at such a small level that it should make you sick to your stomach. And I don't care what level you're at. I'm at a pretty good level, and I'm still massively dissatisfied, but I'm still very happy and fulfilled in what I do. And I don't know where you are in life, what your revenue's at, what you deem as successful or not. I'm not just talking about revenue, but all of us are playing small compared to what we're possible of doing or able to do. And for me, how I show my love to other people is by helping them become the best they can be. Okay? I just want to be clear about that, just in case you're like, you're just a dick. Cool. Awesome. But if I'm a dick that helps you become a better version of yourself, I'll take that any day of the week. Cool? Okay. So internal dialogue, internal communication is everything. Those I am statements, it's got to be empowering, right? It's got to be stuff that empowers you, not disempowers you. Second is written communication. So here's my advice to you, which is what I tell my clients. Write every single day for 30 minutes. Every single day for the rest of your life. That sounds like a lot. Cool. Awesome. Don't do it. Please don't write every single day and keep doing what you're doing. But if you want to get better at anything, if it's worthwhile doing it every single day, and it's worth doing all the way. I don't know if I want to walk every day. Well, don't. Enjoy the consequences of being unhealthy and fat. If you are here and you want to improve your communication skills, you have to understand that some of it's going to be typed on the internet somewhere. Probably a good idea to do some of that typing yourself. I don't do all my writing, right? All the stuff you see online is not from my fingers on the keyboard. Some of it is, most of it, obviously all of it's taken from, in some way, shape, or form, my communication here as the starting point, and then it kind of waterfalls down. But nonetheless, I still have a document that I write in every single day. Every single day for 30 minutes, I'm writing some type of thought leadership, something that I can share with my audience. Some of it's shared right away, some of it's not, but eventually it is. And I don't need to do that, right? We have team members of ours that do all the writing for us. I don't need to do any writing if I don't want to. But the thing is, if I don't, I lose the muscle. And because I see the value and I understand the power of written communication, the ability to move people to action with words, there is nothing in my mind that's more important than that. Therefore, it's worthwhile that I continue doing this and practicing this until the end of time. Writing allows you to clarify your thinking, much more so than if you're speaking. I don't know if you know that some of these videos are a little bit longer, right? I'm not editing on the fly. When you write and then you edit and you fix things up and you clean things. You take a moment to think. You don't have the same luxury when you're speaking, which is why I think speaking is actually harder as well. But writing allows you the opportunity to really clarify your thinking and bring your highest value to the world, which is your thinking, right? And taking a step back and sitting on a chair and looking at the sky and thinking is one of the most productive things you can do. Sometimes, obviously, when it's nice outside, I'll go to Starbucks, so this one particular Starbucks, because they have these nice chairs outside, and I'll just sit there and I'll have my nitro cold brew, and I'll just sit there in the chair, and I'm looking into the fucking clouds, and it's the most productive time of my day. I'll sit there for like an hour to 90 minutes, and then I take out my phone, and then I'm clarifying my vision, or I'm clarifying a job description for a big role we're hiring for, or I'm clarifying a nuanced form of communication for my team or whatever it is. I don't even need my laptop. If I've got my phone, I have my remarkable notepad, which I have at all times, which is where I journal my thoughts. I'm writing, clarifying thinking all the time. If you want to be a thought leader, you got to get your thoughts out. Okay, we don't need more thought repeaters. They're a dime a dozen. Here's another reason this is important. So I don't think you need to write a book, but if you ever wanted to, it probably is a good idea if you started writing. So my first book, The All Day Energy Diet, became a #2 New York Times bestseller. Do you think that changed my life in some way, shape, or form? You better believe it did. Okay, that's an accreditation or an accolade no one can ever take from me. Like winning a gold medal at the Olympics. You think that changes your life a little bit? It changed my life in a pretty big way. Because of that book, I signed a 2-book deal with Rodale, which is now Crown Publishing, for high 6 figures. Right? Why? Because of my ability to write and share something that's going to be of value to people. So communication, it makes a huge difference. Do you think that opens a couple doors when I introduce myself as a #2 New York Times bestseller, USA Today bestseller, Wall Street Journal bestseller? Yeah, I'm not saying you have to write a book, but it helps, So listen, hopefully you're getting the point. The other thing too, from our perspective, is that advertising is 90% of our business, right? 90% of our business comes from advertising, which is words with a picture, or in some cases a video. 90% of our business comes from that. I've written thousands, more than 1,000 ads for Healthpreneur specifically over the past 7 years. And yes, we have team members that obviously help with that now and so forth. I don't do as much of the ad writing, but do not think if I didn't know how to write, to speak to our audience, do you think that might be a disservice to me and our business? You better believe it. So when I'm working with clients, I'm like, guys, you have your pipeline deployed. Cool. You have the vehicle that's going to build your business. One of the things you're going to do every single day is you're going to write for 30 minutes. And that writing can be used as a post on social media. It can be used as an email. It can be used as an ad. It doesn't matter. But I don't want to write ads. It's not about writing ads. It's about sharpening the skill. But I'm a chiropractor. Why would I want to do this? I'm a naturopath. Why would I want to do this? Well, no, don't do it. Don't do it. Just keep adjusting spines in your clinic for the rest of your life. All the best. I'm not saying you should do it. No, don't do it. Do what you're doing, okay? If you want better results for your life, it starts by being a better communicator. If you want to be a better communicator, do the fucking stuff I'm recommending here. I promise you, it'll change your life. Is it going to happen tomorrow? No. Is it going to happen next month? No. Is it going to happen next year? You better believe it. This time next year, you will be a fundamentally different person. And because you're a different person, guess where your business is at? It's at a fundamentally different level. Because you have the skills, not just to pay the bills, but to make the mills. And if you don't have these skills, well, that's unfortunate. Because it's a choice we have every single day to either do something or not do it. And the choices we make move us closer to our ultimate goals or further away, right? So every single day, if I ate a donut, which I love, by the way, would that move me closer to my ultimate goals of being healthier when I'm 100 than I am now? No. So why would I do that? Because I give into the short-term temptation of a nice Boston cream? No. I have to recommit to my vision. If I want to be healthier and fitter at 100 than I am now, what can I do today to get there? And not just once, but if it's important enough, what can I do every single day to make sure that's inevitable? And that's why this communication piece is so important. Okay, Final piece here before the battery runs out on this mic, and I want to make sure I get this across, is the verbal communication. One-on-one and one-to-many. Those are the two forms. So one-on-one, what I'm going to recommend is you become dangerously good at sales. Dangerously good at sales. When I started Healthpreneur, I was doing sales calls 4 to 6 hours a day for a long time. Did I like it? No, I didn't enjoy it. It was okay. I loved getting the sale. I loved the hunt. But I also knew energetically, I was like, I'm toast. I'm done. But I knew I wasn't going to do that forever. So I became good enough over time that I could then transfer that skill and teach and coach others. And now we have an amazing sales team, which are consultative experts, to be honest, who I've been able to transfer that skills to and coach and train up over the years. And they've enrolled thousands of clients instead of me doing that. Do you think that's bought me back some time? Yeah, for sure. So the ability to persuade people to action through you having a one-on-one conversation with them, overcoming objections, connecting with them, building rapport, that's massively, massively important. And if you don't like selling, it's because you're not good at it or you don't understand it. And that's okay. I sucked at it as well until I became very good at it and I love it. Coaching and selling are the same thing. You have a coaching call with a client and they're going through a challenging time or they're giving you some slack for whatever reason. Your ability to have that conversation, that hard conversation, is crucial. You having a hard conversation with a loved one, man, that's a skill, right? Being able to have a difficult conversation with someone that you would rather avoid, but being able to have, wow, pretty good, right? One-to-many, right? Communication from this format, like this video might be seen by thousands or tens of thousands or millions of people eventually. I don't know. The ability for me to communicate a message that's then shown to thousands of people is pretty awesome. So this whole YouTube channel and the podcast is an example of one-to-many communication. Speaking from stage, right, which is something I love doing, is an example of communicating one-to-many. But when you're doing that, be able to connect to one person, look them in the eyes from stage and be like, Deborah, you know what I'm talking about, right? This is for you. So when I'm talking to you on the camera here, I'm talking to you, my friends. I'm talking to you, right? So be able to share. And people say like, hey man, you're so natural on camera. I'm like, dude, I've done tens of thousands of videos. My initial YouTube channel, I don't even know how many thousands of videos we have on AppSucker, right? If you look at my first videos back in 2007, I think, they're a little bit different in terms of my ability to communicate now compared to back then. The comedian Sebastian Maniscalco, I think he's awesome. I was watching one of his earlier segments or his earlier things from like 9 years ago, and his delivery on stage was so different than it is now. He is more of who he is now than he was back then. This is the process all of us have to go through, is this kind of unpeeling of the onion to be more of who we really are. Having a webinar, right? Right now, as I'm doing this for you, as I'm speaking with you, as you're watching this, there are people that are watching my webinar that I created years ago that I've updated over time, and that's working 24/7 on my behalf. The ability to communicate a message, to persuade people to action, even without me being present, right? Super, super valuable skill to have because it creates leverage instead of me having to do a live webinar every single day and dealing with all that kind of stuff. Make sense? So that's the skill. Your ability to communicate with the world fundamentally changes your world. We build the skill of internal communication, written communication, and verbal communication. Practice these every single day for the rest of your life. Small commitment, right? It's only your life, but if you're in, let me know in the comments, I'm in. And I hope you keep yourself accountable to that because you are worth it and so are the people you're serving. If you've enjoyed this, type it in the comments below and I look forward to seeing you in the next episode. But before we get there, watch this sucker. This is a good one. Being poor is a disease of the mind, and rich people are filthy and take advantage of others to make their money. Do any of those get you riled up? If so, this is for you.